AskReddit by Seer Kinglet effective. Males of Reddit, what is your creepy girl story? Deleted. I once had a neighbor I said hi to on occasion tell people, including mutuals and her ex-boyfriend, that we were a thing. This wasn't on social media. It was in real life and she was telling people about the sex we were supposedly having together. I literally only ever said hi to her as a courtesy, knew almost nothing about her, and never once hung out with her. She was a stranger to me and made up a whole summer affair. One time I got on the bus to leave university and a girl came and sat down next to me, pulled out her phone, and showed me a picture she had taken of me on a previous day on the bus. She didn't say anything, just showed me the picture. I had no idea how to react. Yikes, wait, what did you do? After we broke up, she broke into my apartment and dug through my trash to find used condoms and try to inseminate herself. She admitted this. I got a restraining order against her because she kept throwing rocks at my windows and waiting outside trying to attack my new girlfriend. The police made fun of me when I'd call in the restraining order. Wow. Those police officers suck. They should be fired. I was in New Orleans watching some street performers go crazy when a mom came up behind me and fully grabbed both of my ass cheeks. I was 18 and standing next to both of my parents, and she said, "Hey, you remind me of my son," which was probably one of the weirdest things to say in that moment. So how much did she manage to pickpocket you for? Talking up a couple girls in a bar with a buddy, it's going well. For some reason the girl I was talking to was in the other person squealed, "Oh my god, you still have these," or something like that, and the other girl got real kinda tense and tried to get her purse real quick, but before she did the other girl dumped it on the table. There were 4-5 bundles of hair. Like each was a small ponytail with rubber bands holding the hairs together. Turns out she had cut of these mini ponytails of hair from various dudes she had been with who had long hair. My buddy who was chatting her up had long hair. So that's pretty creepy, but what got me was when the other girl dumped out the purse. You had the hair, your typicals, makeup stuffs, wallet, cigs, gum, act, and then about 7-8 fairly large knives. I didn't stick around much longer. Her friend was trying to warn your long-haired buddy. Girl stole my jacket and made a shrine to me with manga-style drawings of her and I making out. You knew Helga Pataki? She followed me everywhere in total silence, just staring at me from a few meters away. She even followed me to college. If I got on a bus or train, she'd run to make sure she caught it. When I called the police on her when she didn't stop after I repeatedly asked her and told her brother to tell her to stop, she cried to the cop, which made her feel sorry for her to the point where the cop asked me to give her a chance. I didn't. Yikes, that was not cool of the cop. A chick in my office looked up my address in our system and turned up at my house, threatened to break my door down if we didn't go to the beach. She then later manipulated her friends into them thinking I was treating her badly, so next time she turned up she had backup and all three were screaming at me from outside. Did you report this to HR? She broke into my dorm room without me knowing and stood over me while I slept. When I woke up she invited me to a threesome. I noped the fuck out of there. You her ran the voices. I went on a Tinder date back when that was a thing and mistakenly invited her back to my place after dinner. She passed the vibe check, so it seemed innocent enough. We got to my place around 8 PM. She was coquettish and it was cute, but I knew she wanted to go further. We hung out until about 10 PM and I was not super into it, so I suggested I walk her to her car. She did not want to leave though. I would start to walk her to the door and she would excuse herself to the bathroom and then go back to my couch. I literally said, "It's getting late, let me take you to your car so you can get home." She would not leave. I was as polite as I could be, trying to get her out of my place. Finally I kind of danced with her in the kitchen and spun her out the door, locked it behind us and walked her to the car, but she stood by my front door for like 10 more minutes. It was past midnight by the time I finally got her to start her engine and pull away. It was this high tension standoff I had never experienced before. Lol, that dancer move is pretty good. Dating casually for a month. She suspected I was cheating. I wasn't, because on weekdays I would go to bed early, 9:30, to be up at 5:45 for work. She thought this was a rouse and decided to drive 30 minutes to my apartment building in the middle of the night. She waited outside for someone to come into the building and followed them in. Then go to my apartment and knocked on my door to see that I'm there and alone. She told me this when she came inside, then left and went home to sleep. And this is why I try not to let people in with me when I enter my building. I would rather turn around, go around the building and enter through the back door to avoid having to let in a visitor, because I have no way of knowing if they're a welcome visitor or someone trying to cause trouble for one of my neighbors. Met a girl on a dating app and had simple conversation for a few days. Suddenly about 5 days in, before we even had a chance to meet up, she tells me the names of my mother, father, and sister and the address and landline of the house I grew up in. She told me she found out who everyone was to look them up on Facebook and put a face to the name if I ever told any stories. Asking me for a picture was completely out of the question, I guess. Steered clear of that storm pretty quickly after. That's what you think, Brian? Currently dealing with one. Recently became a former co-worker, messages me inappropriate pictures of her in lingerie for an objective opinion on how she looks, and when told to stop, insists it's my so's wishes that she stops and not mine. My so is aware of this creepy girl and told me not to block her and just ignore it so that I have evidence in case I ever need it, and she tries to say I was inappropriate with her at our job. Your so is wise and obviously trusts you. A girl in my middle school was convinced my having red hair and dark skin meant I was descended from the people of Atlantis, which she reality shifted to regularly. She apparently had sex with me in her mindscape, an imaginary land full of people she'd met and serene landscapes she'd built. She spent 3 years sexually harassing me, asking people about my dick, talking about wanting me to breed her, groping me in hallways, following me, stealing anything from me she could, and drawing me in various states of sexual debauchery with real humans, usually breeding real humans to create hybrid babies. Because her dad is a superintendent for the school district, everything got swept under the rug and treated as harmless. She's in therapy. People reassured me, she's not dangerous. She's just unwell. Until she sexually assaulted a kid she babysat. That, her dad couldn't make go away, given she filmed it and uploaded it somewhere, I don't know where. Apparently this kid was also Atlantean owing to his blue eyes and dark skin. Fucking yikes, how old was the kid? Dated a girl for like a week. Decided to break it off because it wasn't working out. Different beliefs about key topics. She was still obsessed with me and would camp out everywhere I went to try to run into me. Eventually, I got frustrated and told her off. She proceeded to set fire in front of the place where I worked. I put out the fire, told her to get lost one final time, and I guess she got the memo. She hated me after that. Hated me after that. Yeah, you asshole. If needs. Our high school basketball team had a female student manager. When we had games at other schools, she would always come up with an excuse to need something in the locker room while we were showering. But we were so used to her, I suppose no one said anything. I used to lifeguard and I would literally have to guard the boys' locker room so the high school girls wouldn't accidentally walk in on our male co-workers showering at the end of their shift. It was only 2 girls and they quickly got reported and fired, but it was really creepy behavior. Had a girl in HS have her father call me and ask why I didn't want to date his daughter. I'm 35 now and still can't wrap my head around it. I'm a girl and in HS I had a guy bring his dad to my job to ask me why I didn't want to date his son. Not my ex herself, though she was batshit, but her mom. Me and my ex had a habit of dirty talking over text and getting each other pumped for our next meetup. However, one day when I asked about some things we talked about doing the night before, she said she had no idea what I was talking about. We were both confused. She'd done some digging and it turns out her mom had my GF's FB account logged onto her iPad, and when GF was asleep, she would dirty talk me pretending to be her, like living out some fucked up fantasy. When confronted, she said she thought it'd help move our relationship along. Even after I left, her mom would text several paragraphs confessing her love for me. And before you say anything, no, the mom was not hot. She was 50-some, overweight, balding, and thought acting like she was a child was cute. Oof. This is one of the creepiest ones yet. My first GF had a rough home life, and when I tried to break up with her she said she would kill herself, so I backpedaled. This happened multiple times until one of her friends confided in me that she bragged about it to her because she hates being single and was trying to date other people until he was replaced before breaking up with him. This makes my blood boil. Bad enough they basically blackmail you, but then it's for the super stupid reason that they just don't wanna be single. Teenage me talking to a girl a year below. We used to play Neopets together, and one day she sent me a rose with her blood on it. You just unlocked the memory of a ex-friend of mine who got his blood tested and asked for an extra sample tube to carry away. He then tried to gift it to his ex-girlfriend to get her back. It didn't work. Should I say he raped me? He didn't, but should I say it? This stupid girl sent this in a message, which was obviously saved and used in the court case against her. Man, sorry that happened. Was dating a girl in my early 20s and she mentioned that she had just broke up with some guy, but I didn't really ask too many questions and didn't wanna pry. As the relationship went on, there was this creepy guy in her apartment complex that was extremely nice to me, almost to the point where it was alarming because he was too nice. She broke up with me later that year and never gave me a reason, and about 10 years later I found out why. That guy was overly nice to me was her ex-boyfriend, and he was planning on kidnapping me, torturing me, and eventually killing me, and she had a suspicion and broke it off with me and saved my life. The guy killed himself a year later, and he did it while he was on the phone with her. Yo, what the fuck? Girl I dated 2 years ago. I broke up with her because she was abusive. So I blocked her number and she would no caller ID me 30-50 times a day. So the creepy thing is blocked messages are still saved. I noticed my inbox was full, but I rarely receive voice messages. I see that a year later she would randomly call and cry on the phone for 15 minutes to over an hour at a time, no words, just crying. It was unsettling. The girl who forced me into sex by threatening to tell her football coach, dad, and linebacker brother that I was abusive to her, and then stopped me from penetrating and just grinded on me until she got off, goes around to this day making sure everyone in my old friend groups and my siblings' friend groups understands that she got to take my virginity. She will literally walk up and drunkenly interrupt people's conversations to this day to just blurt it out. She will find parties that I was at or shows I was performing at, and make sure to pop up and interrupt any interactions I have by introducing herself and blurting that she took my virginity. This has been going on for almost 20 years now. You didn't take my virginity, you blackmailed me into allowing you to assault me. You are lucky I didn't report you to the police. Get the hell out of here. I was in a band like 10 years ago. We played a gig at a local bar to a total of 8 people. One of the people in the audience was a girl who, after we played, started a casual conversation with me, and I was polite and kept the conversation going. We just talked about music mostly. We talked for a total of 5 minutes and I didn't think about her again. Cut to the next day, she looks up my band on Facebook, finds my personal profile, which at the time was public with my phone number listed. Starts texting me and sends friend requests to several of my friends asking them about me and if I'm single. She's texting me about meeting again and I tell her I'm not interested and to please respect my privacy. I block her on Facebook. She keeps messaging and texting for a few days and I just ignore it. Finally, like a week later, she sends a very long message about how we really have a connection and how much Just very odd creepy behavior, definitely came on way too strong and seemed to fixate on me for some reason. She was a conventionally attractive girl, only problem is I'm a gay man, so I wouldn't have been interested anyway. At the time I wasn't out, but if I had been, that might have saved me from this strange situation.